Harvesting Magnetricity through Copper Domes 1. A magnetic field pulls and pushes electrons and certain objects closer to them, making themove. 2. Metals like copper have electrons that are easily moved from their orbits. 3. If you move a magnet quickly through a coil of copper wire, the electrons will move. This produces electricity. Coils can still be seen at the top of the power supply centers in India. Manufactured history and invented religions call these energy factories as temples. The Prambanan temple complex in Indonesia had originally 240 estes de energia in a concentric spindle layout. The Star Fortress in Haiti, Taj Mahal, Hagia Sophia Pantheon, Crystal Palace, or Tower of Jewels were production plants and distribution of atmospheric energy, as well as thousands of cathedrals, temples, and palaces around the world. In the United States, Woolsey Hall, which now belongs to Yale University, seems to have been a former power plant. It housed one of the most famous symphonic organs in the world. The organ sound, associated with the resonance of electromagneticity inside power plants, could bring about physical and spiritual transformations. But this is the past. Today, the atmospheric energy is extracted by skyscrapers like the Petronas, Taipei, Burj Khalifa, by towers installed on top of hills Kabul, Rio de Janeiro, California, in the roofs of buildings, or through radio and TV broadcast towers such as Austin Kino Tower, Oriental Pearl, Jinmao, Shanghai, or Tianjin. And this energy is no longer free or clean, besides being expensive. Skyscrapers are modern powerhouses. When plans to erect the Empire State Building in 1929 began to be drawn, the goal was to capture enough energy to illuminate Lake Ontario, Vermont, Buffalo, Albany, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. This objective is registered on the aluminum plate in the hall of the building. In the Chrysler Building, Wikipedia expressly points out to 16 points on the 24th floor, which it calls pineapples, where the mercury would be stored. Buildings around the world continue to produce their own energy, and even Las Vegas has a dome over the Bellagio building, which produces energy for 4,000 apartments, and a fountain with dancing waters, synchronized with lights and music. Central power stations and towers are built in granite and geopolymeric concrete because they become more resilient over time and have the superconducting quartz crystal in its composition. Electromagnetism produces gigantic invisible waves of energy. Transmitting towers receive and emit the electric field to considerable distances. To transmit wireless electricity, as in the remote past, to more and more extensive regions, and with more users, the towers are getting higher. Towers like these can extract atmospheric energy to feed entire countries. It is possible that one of the reasons for the WTC's demolition in 9/11s was the need to expand energy extraction technology. Everyone remembers the huge antenna needle on top of one of the towers being sprayed into the air. The towers of the WTC were obsolete, and so they fell to the ground. The demolition dust caused 70,000 cases of cancer. Insurers paid $4.55 billion for the old tower's pulverization. The new antenna looks much more powerful. Throughout the world, the technology of energy extraction through the atmosphere still works perfectly in castles, buildings, palaces, greenhouses, kiosks, fountains, mosques, fortresses, towers, and cathedrals that kept the old technological apparatus intact. This apparatus includes elaborate roof grids and small window-like openings, metal ornaments in the four corners of buildings, pointed antennae with balls, metals embedded in masonry and geopolymeric concrete, spires, roofs, and copper ornaments, and structural foundations in iron, among others. Just like in today's skyscrapers. Since the beginning of civilization, world architecture is dedicated to extracting energy from the ether. The bastion fort Star Fortress destroyed by the 12 Olympians were the first power plants. The world architecture for extraction of atmospheric energy through domes and towers is a product of the Aryan Tartar civilization. This architecture undergoes slight changes and influences according to the local culture, but maintains the basic principles. Counterfeit history has transformed powerful Tartary energy stations into tombs or temples, and royal palaces and mosques, or destroyed them. After British set fire to Washington in 1812 and bankers took over the United States from 1913, the old Tatar power station near Central Park was turned into a mosque and baptized in Hebrew, the language created in the 19th century as God is with us. And pyramid-shaped power stations were called mausoleums and tombs, or hidden with vegetation like the dozens of Chinese pyramids. Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Americas had the same architecture for the extraction of atmospheric energy. Ottoman, Byzantine, Great Tartary, or Rus Empire. Many names for a single high civilization that is present both in the throne hall of the Grand Kremlin Palace of Moscow as in the Library of Congress in Washington. Rare photographs show that in 1940, the atmospheric energy still worked openly in some places. Power plants have in their interior metal spheres where the toroidal coil works. Perhaps the mass dumper of the Taipei Tower has this function. Modern towers are already built with the domes themselves, and they are positioned below the pole that rises to the contact with the ether. A lookout can distract visitors' attention on the tower's true architectural significance. Not by chance, this metal sphere represents the favorite geometric object of Tesla, reports Wikipedia. It is displayed in a museum in Belgrade with the ashes of the pseudo-inventor. The dark eminences that created the Tesla myth, like many others, have a great sense of humor, and they appreciate leaving evidence of their frauds in the most unforeseen places. The technology of electromagnetic energy extraction is the same to 7,000 years as witnessed by the Gothic towers, 11th century Hindu and Chinese pagodas, the African clay mosque, or the pinnacle studded with metal staples of the old cathedral of Salamanca of the 12th century, whose design is perfectly reproduced in the contemporary Jinmao Tower in Shanghai.
But back in the day, the pyramids were doing something different, bigger scale, same thing. But you're going to see, and the star forts, what were they really? They were not forts. And that's why, again, I'm going to reference this video, The Lost History of Flat Earth, because he goes into details that are really important in understanding all that I'm saying. There's a reason, you know, if you grew up in the Bay Area, there's that little fort near the Bay Bridge, okay? And then I was just watching a podcast, and this guy was talking about there's some kind of fort that's 70 miles off the coast of Florida in the Gulf side. And it's like, why did they build this here? But now, after I learned all this, it makes a lot of sense. So I don't think I could even regurgitate all of it, but I just want to kind of paint this picture. We can turn this world back into the most beautiful utopia ever by learning how to take telluric energy or electrical energy from the atmosphere, you know, the ions or whatnot, utilizing these type of technologies, using water as a transporter, a conductor, a means of storing the energy, moving it to be used. Water has so many things, and he talks about that in the show, in the movie. You guys just have to watch all of it. Again, do not get discouraged from the Flat Earth title. It has nothing to do about Flat Earth. But the water is a big part of all this. And if you'll notice, all the old castles, all of Angkor Wat, you know, they had one of the most extravagant hydraulic systems ever. And when I go through these videos, you're going to find this really interesting. You're going to be kind of shocked. Because now that what they discovered with the LiDAR, radar, and Amazon, all I'm seeing is the pyramid is the main hub for the power generation. And then it would get transmitted, sent out to sister areas, and then they had, you know, whatever you need at a power station, something to transmit it. That's what the obelisks were for, the tall pillars. All this stuff is all over our world. And there's nothing that's going to stop us from being able to put this together. So if we can just do that, essentially they had some type of grid, a planetary grid, which was functional, which worked. And who knows how long this was going on for. Could have been thousands of years. But essentially what I think happened is someone like brought down the grid and also got rid of the water. Because a lot of these places where they would bring the energy through, they had even more water around them. And so and this is in the movie, the video, not a movie. It's called The Lost History of Flat Earth. Please watch it, because you know, I don't think I can do it any justice talking about it, but you guys got to watch it. The water plays an integral role in so many things. And the reason I had so much interest in this is because I grew up in the Bay Area. The old-timey architecture, the old world architecture was very, it was just like intriguing. It was enchanting, and I wanted to know more about it. And it had me in a state of wonder when I was a kid. Something that still makes you go, wow, you know? And I was just walking there the other day, and I was like, what happened to this place? This is not the same. I don't think anywhere is. But they had a bathhouse in San Francisco. Now, the hydrotherapy, I think it's called hydrobaric chambers, those work really, really good for healing. You got to watch this movie. Again, this stuff is all directly from this video. Please watch it. I'm going to give more of a detailed synopsis of it. But just understand, free energy, literally free. What would it be like to live in a world where everything surrounding energy is free? You don't have to pay for your transportation. You could plant your own food if you want to. You have energy coming out the wazoo. You can use energy for whatever you want. So I'm sure you would build things and put it toward constructive things. You'd put things toward the society, the community. That's a big part. You know, everyone has to do their part. but we could be living in a dream. No one would have to work. You know, do what you want to do, build what you want to build, get help if you can get help, trade gold if you want to trade. The money needs to go. The government systems need to go. We need to have just something different. That's all the old world. Those are all control systems. And you see, the only thing that could really stand in the way of us kind of putting this back together are regulations, laws, all these things we passed that maybe at some point we needed to have a governing body. And we probably still need to have something there. But we're going to phase out of it, I think, as fast as possible, because it's not, it's doing so much more damage now than anything positive. And we need to remember and feel what it feels like to be free again. So work with me here. Think about it. You don't need money. We got rid of money. Like, you know, we got gold, or we have some kind of gold-backed currency with the QFS system. Perfect. Okay? No one uses money anymore. You know? What would your life be like? What would it be like if, and let's say, you know, there were some social service programs during this kind of financial transition where I think maybe even a global currency reset, and, you know, we just got rid of the old fiat system. And that's a slavery system. It's a control system. And, you know, we just went with better things. And then at that point, everyone, it could be like redemption funds, but everyone is given what they want. You know, if you want a house, you get a house. You have to go find it. You have to go get the people to build it, or trade for it. But no one is denied anything. So there would be no poverty. There would be no crime. We would have optimal health, because all we would have to do with our time is do only what we loved and wanted to do. We could learn. We could be practicing a sport, an instrument. We could learn an instrument. We could express ourselves. I mean, this is like essentially what I think, and I kind of feel like these societies did. They would leave us with nothing but the opportunity to go deeper into our own evolution and our own spiritual selves. And that means truth. And that means a lot of positive things as you learn the true aspects of yourself through spirituality, because you'll have time. You don't need to stress about anything. So, you know, that would be a magical world. I think it hits a point where my mind can't even think about what it would be like, because we would have already done everything I can think about. And that's like in the first, like, unrealistically 20 days. Realistically, probably 6 months. To where people are getting up, they're waking up, thanking the day in a state of gratitude. Just so happy to be here. And just doing what your heart content wants to do. I'm going to leave you guys with that.